What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Zamboni. I'm a musician and astrologer, and it is time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. As always, thank you so very much for being here. Thank you for rocking with me time after time, week after week. Thank you for tipping me via Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. I super appreciate those gifts all of the time. Thank you so much. A bunch of y'all tipped this past week. Thank you for doing that. A bunch of y'all are going to tip this coming week. Thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for going to Spotify, Tidal, Pandora, Apple Music, wherever you like to get your music at, and listening to the music. Zamboni Funk music is pretty dope. I'm pretty proud of it. Thank you so much for going to check that out. Thanks for checking the Patreon where you can get an electional report. Thanks for going to ZamboniFunk.com and getting a reading. You can get a 60-minute reading where we can talk back and forth. You can get a 10-minute reading where I will talk to you just the same way that I'm doing with this weekly forecast for 10 minutes at a time. Thank you for sending this to a friend. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Thank you for being a part of the community. I super appreciate all of y'all. Even at holiday time, it's really resonant for me. So thank you so much for being here. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead. So this week, it is holiday time, as I mentioned. So let's just start with that. So one of the first things that's happening this week is Mercury is moving back into Sagittarius. So Sagittarius is home of Mars is there right now. So, and actually this week we're going to see Mercury moving back and conjoining that Mars and moving a little bit past that Mars. So, Mercury, Mars. So Mercury is the planet of communication and, especially with Mars there, Mars is going to be like aggressive and this kind of thing. And so a conjunction between those two, that's going to be where they're in the same spot. And then we're going to see some aggressive words. We're going to see some argumentation. We're going to see some fighting and this kind of thing. And what's interesting here is that the moon is going to move into Gemini for the holiday. So the holidays are famous for getting into fights with people who you're kind of close to, but like have wild, strong disagreements about the war, for example, or about politics, or like all, right? Holidays are famous for these kinds of arguments. This holiday is going to be especially strong in that regard. Note at the same time that Venus is in Scorpio. Venus is in Scorpio opposite to Uranus and Taurus. Now we've already seen that direct opposition, so that's not like the biggest deal here. But one thing about Venus and Scorpio, which is going to be happening at the time of during Christmas time and with the moon opposite to Mercury and Mars in Sagittarius. Mercury's retrograde, so we're talking about miscommunications and misunderstandings and all of this kind of thing. And also that Venus in Scorpio looks like it really wants to, I've been talking about like intensity and a penchant for danger and this kind of thing. Venus in Scorpio wants to know if I can get away with it. If I can how close can I get to the flame before I get burned by it, right? And the only way to know is to get this close and then a little bit too close and then get burned. So that at the same time as this moon opposite Mars and Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius looks like a time where there's going to be opportunities to get really close to the flame. And so you, as a volitional agent, can choose whether or not you want to be that daring with it. And if it's worth it to you to, like, sometimes it can be fun and there can be great, no risk, no reward, right? But at the same time, if you want to get through the holidays without throwing a shoe at somebody, then maybe this isn't the time to toe that line. Maybe this is the time to note it, because other people, most of the folks at your family gathering didn't have this advice. They didn't hear about this timing before. They don't know what the fuck is going on with the moon. So you have an opportunity to keep it Trilla, see what's going on. If a fight wants to break out, you can take a walk if you want to. You have options out here. So that's something worth thinking about. That Mercury Mars, and this is going on all week, right? And one of the things about this moon is that in Gemini, the moon is almost full. We're actually going to get a full moon in Cancer this week. And I like this full moon in Cancer. The moon is at home and comfortable in Cancer. The full moon, it's big and like very moonly. Able to do the moon things, able to nourish and hug up the babies and do the nursery and nourish others and this kind of thing. This is really good for eating stuff. And we can also notice that the moon in Cancer is making a sextile to Jupiter in Taurus, and the sun in Capricorn at that same moment is also making a trine to Jupiter in Taurus, and that is going to be ongoing for a little while this week. So that looks like the Capricorn stuff. If we think about Capricorn things as being like eminently practical, like trying to improve the nuts and bolts of the situation, how can we make sure that the skeleton of the thing, the outline, the infrastructure, how can we make sure that systems are working properly and all of that sort of stuff? That looks like it's really on point for this moment as we've got this full moon here, and as the sun moves into moves through Capricorn and makes this trine with Jupiter. Also, after this, Mars is going to move into Capricorn, and then Mercury is going to station direct and is going to move into Capricorn, and then Venus is going to move, who is currently in Scorpio, a little bit later in the week is going to move into Sagittarius, and another couple of weeks later is going to move into Capricorn and is going to make this trine to Jupiter in Taurus. They're also going to make trines to Uranus in Taurus. So the trine is the supportive aspect. That word tri, meaning three, it's like a tripod. It's the most stable of the aspects. It's the one that's friendly and helpful and complementary, and they want to work together in some kind of way. So this Capricorn moment here that is begun with the sun moving into Capricorn and making this trine to Jupiter at the same time as the full moon. The full moon in Cancer is going to make a sextile, another supportive and complementary kind of aspect. It looks like the Capricorn stuff really wants to be on for the next couple of weeks. And so we've got an opportunity here to really improve infrastructures in an important way. Now, so this is interesting because we've got this full moon dynamic, right? And full moons, by their nature, they are very big and exciting, and stuff wants to sort of like spill over the edges and all of this kind of stuff, right? The moon is like the high tide moment, right? It's the crest of the wave. So it's when the wave gets so high that it starts spilling over the top and this kind of thing. So that by its nature tends to be very emotional, tends to like want to, this is how sometimes I've on full moon nights, sometimes you can like walk around the city and see people crying because they're too drunk and they've got into a fight with somebody or something like this. Full moons do kind of tend toward that in some ways. And so it looks like a moment, and especially with this Mercury Mars going on here, it looks very argumentative, looks like it wants to get into a fight about some stuff, maybe wants to get into a fight about something that you might be Mercury retrograde confused about. There might be a misunderstanding of some sort. Maybe somebody said something and they didn't mean it that way, but you took it that way. Maybe you said something and maybe you meant it in some kind of way, and then the wrong person heard that shit, and then and so that started a fight with a person who you weren't even beefing with before, or something like this. Wires get crossed under that Mercury retrograde, right? So this is prime time for big inflammation, big things to be like, and maybe even literally inflammation of the throat or something like this. Like, be aware of that sort of thing. So this looks like a moment where all of that stuff kind of wants to be taking place here. Then we can notice that all of this stuff is going to be moving through Capricorn, making this trine, this supportive, stable trine to Jupiter in Taurus. Jupiter's job is to improve things, to help, to bring abundance, joy, prosperity, this kind of thing, right? So I wonder if this might be a moment this week. It might be a time to notice where the inflammation is, notice where the trouble spots are, notice the points where I feel like starting fights, maybe notice the pain points. Maybe somebody said something and it struck a nerve, and maybe they weren't even trying to do that. Maybe, if we take the most charitable idea here and think that somebody just said something off the cuff and it hit a nerve for you, even though that person wasn't necessarily trying to start a fight. Now you know where that pain point is. Now you know where that nerve is. And I wonder if there might be a way to generate some better infrastructure about how to navigate those situations, or how to keep oneself in a position where you can keep your we can think about Capricorn as being grounded, keep your stability, your structure. This is a trine to an earth sign, Taurus, right? So it's something very like practical and earthy and stable that we're looking for here. How can I maintain my own center even though there's wild disagreements going on and these people are so wrong about the political situation or whatever it is, right? There are ways to navigate that especially are coming up in the months ahead. So thank you so much for being here. I'll take it.